What's going on, guys? My name is Ted, bringing you all a review of the newest phone on the market today, and it's actually not released yet. It just got announced today, and this is the LG Optimus G. And there's a lot of phones that I'm going to be reviewing, but I really do think this is going to be the next flagship device. And if you don't know what that means, a flagship device is basically a device that's going to hold its name for several months as the best phone out there. And this phone is not released yet. Like I said, it's going to be released worldwide at the end of the year. So anytime between October to December, we're going to see the release of this phone. And we're probably going to learn a little bit more about it at the IFA in Berlin in 2012, coming up just this weekend. So I'm really excited about that. But let's dive into it, what makes this phone the best. Start off with the basics. It's going to run Android 4.0 Ice Cream Sandwich stock, which isn't really good. I was expecting Jelly Bean to have such a great device, but it hasn't been through the finishing product yet, so it might still come with Jelly Bean later on. Hopefully when it gets released in the United States, at least it's going to come with Jelly Bean, so we're going to have to see the release of the device before we're going to know for sure. As far as the specs on it, these are confirmed. The first thing you're noticing, probably the most important, is that it's a 1.5 gigahertz quad-core Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 Pro processor, which is my personal favorite processor. I mean, it's the best one out there in my opinion. There's a lot of quad-core phones out there, but they're all international. And this is actually going to be the world's first release of the quad-core processor with the LTE network. So your Verizon 4G LTE, Sprint, I think has it as well, at&t. Pretty much everyone but T-Mobile has LTE. And normally when there's a quad-core processor, internationally they're going to have it as quad-core, and then when they bring it over to the US, they got to dummy it down to a dual-core because LTE won't be compatible with it otherwise. This is going to be the single world's first quad-core phone that has the LTE compatibility, which is going to be awesome, and it's going to make that flagship device. Moving on, as far as thickness goes, it's going to be 8 millimeters thick, which is pretty standard for phones. I mean, it's just really, really small. Honestly, does it even matter anymore? Like, they're just so small, it doesn't really matter. I don't really care how small it is once it's like under 1/4 of an inch. As far as the display, you're going to get a 4.7-inch HD display with a resolution of 1280 by 768 pixels, and that's good. That's very average. But the display itself is very, very nice. They've done something with the display to make it just one single layer instead of having the glass and then the LEDs. They've made it all into one, and it saves them a little bit of room as far as thickness of the phone goes, and it also makes the display really, really vibrant. One cool thing about this display as well is that when you turn off the phone, supposedly the whole front of the phone is the same color. There's no gap between the blackness of the turned off lights and the LEDs and the edge of the phone, which makes it look really, really sleek. Moving on to storage, by stock it's got 32 gigabytes of in-phone storage, which is pretty good for an average phone. Most come with like 8 or 16. This one being the next flagship device, they got to bump it up to 32. And as far as RAM, you're going to see 2 gigabytes of RAM, which is another awesome feature. Most phones only come with 1 gigabyte. That's very, very standard, even for the better phones. The only other phone out today that's got 2 gigabytes is the American versions of the Samsung Galaxy S3. Moving on, you've got a 2100 milliamp hour battery, which honestly is not doing this phone justice. I think that this much power and this big of a screen size, this many cores, the battery's going to die really fast. And that's something I noticed with my Samsung Galaxy S3, which is the same battery power, is that it simply doesn't last very long. I have to have my extended battery review on that down below if you're interested in an extended battery. But moving on, I just don't think it's going to be enough battery power for this bad boy. Moving on to the camera, this is another thing that just is completely innovative. It's got a 13 megapixel rear-facing camera. This is insane. Before, we've only seen 8 megapixels on any flagship device. The Galaxy S3, the HTC One S, the HTC One X, all of them only have an 8 megapixel camera. And having a 13 megapixel camera is really jumping up the game. It's also got your 1.3 megapixel front-facing camera, which is just very standard for those phones like that. It's also NFC enabled, which is near-field communications. This is like the little bump to connect thing, the beam support. If you have the Samsung Galaxy S3, that's what it's called. Basically, you tap two devices together and they can transfer files. It's really, really cool, and this one has it. Another cool feature of this phone is it has live zooming, which means that you can zoom in and out of a video when you're watching it, and it doesn't, because of those processors and the massive processor speed, it doesn't even drop a frame. People have reviewed these things that have actually held the phones, and they just say it's perfectly sleek, and that's really, really cool. Personally, I've never really found myself needing to zoom into a video, but I guess if you wanted to for like a presentation or something, I guess you could. And another thing it's got is cheese shutter, which is an interesting name for a process that makes it so you can have a voice command for taking a photo. So let's say that you just want to take a photo and you're trying to press the button on the back of it while taking a photo of yourself, and so you can have a voice command to activate the taking the photo, which is really, really cool. The last thing that this thing features is a dual screen play, which means that you can have it on your TV, and it could be sending one thing to your television, and then on your phone you can have another thing. And what's cool about this is, say you're doing a presentation, you can send that PowerPoint over to the television, and then on your phone you can have the notes for that presentation. So that's really cool. Just cool little gadgets and cool little things. I just love seeing how much stuff they can pack into one phone. and this one has it all, it seems. Once again, it's the LG Optimus G. Aside from everything else, it just looks like a badass phone. It's got a really nice, sleek design, and I really do like it. As far as the release date, it's to be announced. Like I said, they said it's going to be coming out later on in the year, maybe as soon as October, maybe as late as December, who knows. And the price is not yet announced as well, but I assume it's going to be in the $300 range. It seems like a very typical price. That's what the Galaxy S3 was when it first came out, so that's what I'm kind of relating it to. Other than that, guys, that's all I have for today. Check out this link down below. I'm going to leave a link to the whole story about this phone so you can read up on that if you're interested. Other than that, guys, have a great day, and I'll catch you all later. Bye.